What are you guys doing? Anyway, not a lot to report, but this thing's pretty darn close. Got the extensions run through the fuse, and got the rudder servos set up. And you can see pretty clearly on that plate between the trusses on the rudder itself, that black slot, that's the factory slot. You can see I've slotted over, making them wider, so I can put these conicals in there. Look at that angle. This is all stock locations. Got that angle. That's going to be binding unless you have the conicals in there. If you have the conicals in it, it's not binding. You're going to get more power to the rudder, so that's going to be more effective. Your servo is going to last longer. It's under less pressure, and your battery's going to last longer too. So I just think it's cool to do it this way, even though it does take some time to make that slot, but I've gotten pretty fast at it. So that's dialed. What else? Yeah, this thing probably going to be ready for a Friday maiden like I've been anticipating. Then somebody was asking about foams. I got that purple foam. That's like an 1/8 inch thick. And you know, it's a good density and everything, but it's not probably the most perfect foam. Like, I just like the colors. But if you know, a couple things, like there's onboard videos of the tanks, and it's real interesting, like, to see the clunk lines just not in the fuel as often as you'd think. So I think the main reason to put the straw or a rigid copper pipe on your clunk line is just to keep it from getting stuck somewhere, but not so much to keep it in the fuel, since the fuel is going everywhere. And then there's a certain amount of bubbles in there, and you don't want, I mean, ideally you wouldn't have too many bubbles, but man, the way we're kicking our planes around, it's going to be pretty tough. But you want some kind of cushion. I tend to, like I said, I like these colors, so I just use this like little 1/8 inch stuff. But I was thinking about it earlier this year, and the density thing, because like when I first started, I was just doing what the old guys did, at the field with their telemasters, with their epoxied up telemasters. And they would use the white Dubro foam, but that stuff was really rigid. Like, it didn't have any rebound to it at all. And then it hardened up real quick too. And then not really, no, it didn't harden up. It deteriorated. That's what it did. It would just kind of rot out in no time. And then the big rage was get to what we call the NASA foam. It's memory foam, which you can get now too. But then this year I'm thinking, well, why did we go out of our way and pay extra money to get that memory foam when that doesn't have any rebound at all? For the opposite reason that the Dubro foam didn't. The Dubro foam is just rigid, so nothing compressed into it. But the NASA foam, whatever you put on it, your receiver or your tank, it would just totally compress into it, and then it would just stay there. So it wouldn't rebound at all. So it makes some tiny, thin little cushion where it was compressed of sorts. But then I tried a bunch of them this year, and then the one that seemed to act like I would think would work the best. And here we go back to ye olde experience of one, and not so much the case here, but like just being able to do big studies, that kind of situation where if we had onboard cameras and we did like 100 different setups, and then we saw, which created more bubbles, it would be interesting. But I don't think we do it, especially on the tanks, because it seems like almost anything works. But the Dubro foam they have now, I was expecting to be the same, and I ordered some with some other Dubro parts. And it's black, and it has a nice rebound. Like it compresses, but it rebounds. Compresses, rebounds. It doesn't compress too deep like the NASA foam, the memory foam that just squishes down and just stays squished down. And it doesn't, it's not just rigid, at a quarter. It's a 1/4 inch thick, so it just doesn't stay there. It flexes in, rebounds. So I was talking about it earlier this year, like in March. I was checking it out, and I was like, well, that's kind of the one that I would think would work the best. And it surprised me because they used to have that just deteriorating foam that was just kind of rigid and didn't do anything except deteriorate. But yeah, since we have such good luck with all this stuff, I guess if it's not rigid and if it's not deteriorating, then I'm kind of good with it. So I've just been using this colored stuff from Michaels all year. But it would be interesting to do a test with an onboard camera with the various foams. And if I had to take a guess, I would think that Dubro foam was the closest one. I took pictures of it in like March. I bought like a couple $100 worth of foam or more. Like I bought like every kind of foam I could find. There's foam companies and they have, the closed cell, open cell, and all the different types, and so I was getting a bunch of that stuff, just trying it all out. But yeah, nothing seemed to be what I was after as close. Nothing was, Dubro was the best one, the black stuff that they have now, to me, of what I would think that I wanted. I wanted something kind of heavy spongy, I guess you would call it. I didn't want it to collapse, but I didn't want it to be rigid. But I definitely wanted to rebound, not like the memory foam. But yeah, that's a bunch of conjecture and talk and anecdotal nonsense, because the only way to really know would be if somebody put an onboard camera and did a bunch of different setups, and then saw which one created the most bubbles. But it seems like everybody's engines are running. So that's your foam story. And yeah, I'll see if tonight will be Wednesday night. I'll see if I can't get this thing pretty darn close to done tonight. It'd be fun to fly it. And I've been flying that big plane, the 125-inch laser, so I'm really looking forward to flying something smaller, more agile. Not that plane's not fun, and I'm pretty certain going to throw the stock mufflers on that thing too. And I think the bottom end's going to liven up. I think the expert device I got was wrong, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think it might have less top end, after that, which won't bother me at all. But I think I'll have more bottom end. And that'll make it more fun. And yeah, but that one's fun to fly. They're all freaking fun to fly. But yeah, looking forward to this one. And I like these colors, man. Got some of my fuchsia on there, some of my green. Yeah, this plane, I like this scheme on it. It looks pretty cool. And now I'm talking a lot, but like, this is older school for extreme flight. This is when, Jason, everybody was going through these different stages. And see, I missed all these stages. I was out. So I'm trying to fly their current stuff, which I do love. But I missed like the steps along the way. And I got a feeling this is, a cool step along the way. It might fit even, how I'm flying right now. And unless I can manage to get better. But I think regardless, this is going to be, no matter who's flying it, I think it's probably pretty cool. Oh yeah. I've talked about this. I think I've showed it to you guys too, but yeah, see, I get kind of overkill, and this isn't even overkill as sometimes. These are the engine bolts. Sometimes I'll put, I used to always put a blind nut in the firewall, and then you get that meat, and that beefs up the firewall because they epoxy that in, and you got all the metal threads there. And then I would still do a regular nut, which you can see there. I don't know if I use my finger to show it. Right there. That's a regular nut, blue Loctited on, sucked up tight, and then a nylon locking nut on that, which is also blue Loctite, sucked up tight. And you can see there, because I don't have a blind nut, I got a big fender washer, which is pretty thick gauge, and then see, I've cut it, part of it off flat, so it can get around the corner stock. And then I've got a heavy duty gauge standard washer, so kind of spreading that load out, kind of helping the firewall, making it more stiff. So yeah, it's a little extreme, and even more extreme when you put the blind nut through and locked at all three. But yeah, I tend not to have these things start to vibrate and come loose Tend not to is an understatement. Mine just don't, you know, never going to have one come loose or create any vibration or anything. And, you know, it's a couple ounces more weight too, probably the way I do it. Maybe an ounce. I don't know how much those nuts weigh, but. Well, that was open. Just thought I'd show that. And now this 2-minute video just turned into 10. Well, that one guy said he wanted me to like say more or something. I don't know what that meant, like more information or longer videos. Who knows? But yeah, that's good for tonight or the morning, I guess. All right, out.